If you spend a little time on the Handgun General Discord, at some point you're probably going to get peer pressured into shooting some pistol drills, and that's a good thing, because you can't get better if you don't get data when you shoot. A lot of people have this tendency to put up one of those huge paper silhouette targets that's like 2.5 times bigger than any real human, and then they shoot an entire box of ammo into it, and they're super proud that they got all the hits on paper. That's pretty much a waste of ammo. It doesn't really teach you anything. It doesn't help you get any better. You basically need to get real data, and that means you should be either shooting small groups on paper, or you should be shooting under the timer, or you should be mixing your shots in with additional actions. Ideally, you're doing all of those things at the same time. Some of the more complicated drills are a little bit intimidating to shoot, but they provide so much more data, and they can teach you so much more about the way that you shoot, so you should definitely try them if you have any way to do it. The issue that we had was that a lot of these multiple string drills were not really applicable to the guns that people actually carry. They're designed to be shot with like Glock 19 or larger pistols, and usually pretty accessible, you know, inside the waistband or outside the waistband, fairly fast draw. But a lot of people don't actually carry that. A lot of people will carry like appendix, belly band, pocket, you know, they're carrying single stack 9mm with long triggers, or they're carrying 380 micro pistols with just no sights at all. So you're going to get discouraged if you try to shoot one of these complicated multi-string drills with a tiny pistol, because first of all, you're probably going to fail the drill by the metrics that are set out, and second of all, if you compare your scores to most of the other people shooting from, say, like a battle belt with a full-size pistol, it's just going to make you look like an idiot. So I made something for HG called the CC Qualifier Drill. We had a modified version of the Federal Air Marshal Qualifier that we were shooting, and just took that and further modified it to reduce the round count and make it workable enough with small guns and deep carry setups. So it's a 25-round drill. It's shot from 5 yards on the HG I-dot target, which is basically 2 sheets of printable paper. The one on the top has a circle, the one on the bottom has a rectangle. All hits on paper count. Ones in the gray are worth 5 points, ones in the white are worth 2 points. A couple things to keep in mind before you start shooting it. One is sight pictures. You should be always reacquiring a sight picture after the string is over. It's really tempting to immediately lower your gun and look at the shot timer to see if you made it under par, but you should hold off, reacquire your sight picture as if you were going to take another shot, and then stop, check your time. That's just the best practice for shooting almost any kind of drill. Also, if you don't have a real shot timer, you can just use the Splits app for Android. That's a really good one. There's probably some others out there that I don't know about. Another thing to keep in mind is that you should preferably start all drills with a full complement of loaded mags on your person. So even if the drill only calls for a couple shots, you should have a fully loaded magazine and a fully loaded spare magazine. The only time that that doesn't apply is parts of the drill that require a slide lock reload, because of course you need to shoot your first magazine to empty. It's a little frustrating, I know, but you should just top up both of your mags between every string. The third thing is that you should try to get the hits first and then push the par times later. If you shoot all the stages under par but you don't get any hits on paper, it's not really usable data. If you can try to ride that line where you're not getting every shot in the gray but you're still making most of the pars, that's a good place to be. That gives you the ability to either slow it down and get the hits, or speed it up and get the pars, and of course you'll get better at it as you try it more and more. Okay, let's talk about the strings. Strings 1 and 2 are the same. You start with your arms at your sides, you draw, and take one shot at the rectangle. Par time is 2 seconds. 1.9. String number 3, you start at the low ready position. On the beep, shoot one shot into the circle, par time of 1 second. Ooh, 0.96, chasing that 1 second par. String number 4 is a modified version of the bill drill. We call it the baby bill. So you start with your hands in the surrender position. On the beep, you draw and take 6 shots rapidly to the rectangle. Par time 4.5 seconds. .41 seconds. String number 5 is the failure drill, shot from low ready. On the beep, you take 2 shots at the rectangle and 1 shot at the circle. Par time is 2 seconds. Pulled one of those very low, 1.7 seconds. String number 6 is the strong hand only injured draw. Start with your arms at the sides. On the beep, you're going to draw with your strong hand only and take 3 shots to the rectangle, strong hand only. Par time is 4 seconds. .4. String number 7 is the multi-threat drill. You're going to start from a low ready position. On the beep, you're going to take 2 shots to the rectangle, then do a speed reload, which means the slide is not locked back, and you're going to take 2 shots to the circle. Part time is 5.5 seconds. Final string, string number 8, is a version of the fast drill. You're going to start with your arms at the sides. On the beep, you're going to draw, take 2 shots at the circle, then perform a kneeling slide lock reload and take 4 shots at the rectangle. Part time is 10 seconds. So once again, the scoring is as follows. Hits in the gray are worth 5 points, hits in the white are worth 2 points, hits that go off the sheets of paper entirely are worth no points. Any overtime shot gets you a penalty of -3. This is a 25-round drill, total possible score of 125, passing score is 105. The nice thing about this drill is that you can also shoot it twice on the same target to use up 1 full box of ammunition and then score out of 250 with a passing score of 210. I'll tell you my experience with shooting this drill. I mostly carry a Beretta Nano in an appendix holster with a spare magazine in the offside appendix position. It's kind of like a ghetto sidecar. Things that I've learned from this drill: 1, the Nano is shaped really weird and it does not point naturally on the draw. It seems like the trigger would be the biggest obstacle to shooting this drill well, but it's actually not. The biggest problem I had is that my holster sits too far down below the belt line. Almost none of the grip came over the belt line, which made it very, very difficult to get a good draw. In particular, the strong hand only string was extremely difficult to even get the gun out of the holster. Jesus. I modified the holster by using a shorter clip and canting it a little bit more. Extends more of the gun above the belt line, makes it a lot easier to draw. There's a link in the video description to a printable version of the Handgun General iDot target. It just prints on regular 8.5 by 11 paper. I'd encourage you to give this drill a try and then let me know how you do. Especially let me know if the part times need to be adjusted. I've only shot this one a couple of times myself, so the part times are still basically placeholders. Alright, thanks for watching. See you later.